If I piggyback off that, living out your purpose is you accessing what God has planned for you, and then you become a conduit for others. So, for example, you're living out your purpose. Therefore, we have this platform. Therefore, we are interacting with all the people online, and which would never have happened if you were not living your purpose.
Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's Murenga Monday, and I'm here with Daniel, who's running the Unstuck annual conference for this year, and it's his third time to run it with a team. And Unstuck will be held on the 1st and the 8th of August via Zoom. We're in a different world now where we have access through the internet. So please look out for the details. But as with everybody, I've had conversations about access, and therefore we're just going to have a conversation with Daniel about access. So karibu, Daniel.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here again.
Thank you so much for having you.
Thank you for having us.
So there's the one that's called you Daniel or Makau. There's a confusion in my head. I'm so used to Makau, then I hear people call you Daniel, so then I align, but I'm very used to calling you Makau. First of all, you've headed the team that is running Unstuck now. This is the third year.
Yes.
It's going to be the third execution. But do you know you were there for the first one? Do you remember the first one?
Yes, back.
It even sounds like, I don't know.
It's unbelievable, the transformation we've seen over time. The partners coming on board, divine connections, making it bigger, better every single year.
Imagine.
It's been incredible. It's been good.
Because you were there for Get Out of the Box. We had nothing.
Nothing.
We had no deco,
nothing.
no sound.
It was a gathering.
We gathered the people and we gave a message, which I can't remember. They say they remember the message. I don't remember the message. But from then, you know, it's been a serious journey.
Yes, it has.
It really has.
Yeah.
So when I say access, what comes up to you for access, and even as you've been leading the team through this conversation of access?
So access, there's lots of thoughts when I think about access. And you mentioned, like, for example, this year we'll be having our conference via Zoom. And the statistics are that there's 5 billion people out of 7 and point something that are on mobile devices today. So in fact, when I think about God's, in the scripture when it says, go out therefore into the world. Where is the world today?
It's on the internet.
It's all here.
It's all here.
And I think even, despite the circumstances, there's a lot that is positive, I think, about this season. Pastors now have hundreds of followers, new followers every week that they wouldn't have in their churches. So access is creating this space where everyone can connect. Fewer hurdles, fewer barriers. So it's that. It's that,
And that's amazing because, but it's amazing how sometimes also we don't want to shift the mindset. Because I was listening to somebody saying how somebody was complaining to them, it was a pastor, that they were reaching 4,000 people when they had a church sort of scenario. And now online they're reaching 15,000.
Yes.
But they wanted to go back to the, let's go back to this church without seeing the impact that you're making. Sometimes we want to go back to the old way of doing things. There's a new way and you can see the impact, but you still want to go to the old way. So 4,000 to 15,000 is, I don't even know what that is. It's like 4 times their congregation. So everybody is online and we need to get them on that particular avenue.
Correct. And another concept for me on access, and this was like a download just today, the difference between economics and kingdom commonwealth. And so when we think about what is the biggest concern today for everyone is what's going to happen with the economy. There's lots of businesses that have shut down, and yet how we understand the kingdom and how it's supposed to operate is access for everyone. There's enough for everyone. Whereas economics talks about there being
demand and supply.
Demand and supply. There's only limited resources, and if I have, then you don't have. It's profit and loss. Whereas we know that there's seed time, there's harvest.
Harvest time.
So I think access for me is a different way of thinking.
Okay.
It's totally a different way of thinking.
And I love that because then it also ties into what I was saying, that some people don't want to do a different way of thinking. It's like this was working. Why do we have to go this way? But we actually do. We actually do. And instead of saying there's not enough, it's finding where yours is.
Yes.
Where is what was created for you? Because God created us with purpose. And I always say, if He created, like, is it your eyeball? Is it your eyeball? That's unique. Your fingerprints are unique. Everything is so unique about you. There are certain distinctive qualities about you that make you different. Then there must be something that you were created to do.
Yes. And even just, if I piggyback off that, living out your purpose is you accessing what God has planned for you, and then you become a conduit for others. So, for example, you're living out your purpose. Therefore, we have this platform. Therefore, we are interacting with all the people online, and which would never have happened if you were not living your purpose.
That is so true.
So there's an element of purpose also in this access conversation.
Yes.
And when we live it out fully, that's kingdom again. So it just is this.
It's a cycle. But and also when you say that, you see, when I started, I didn't know. So that's another thing. We have to also not be. We don't have to know, because I feel like we also live in a season where we want to know everything.
Yes.
Like step 1 to 100, this is what's going to happen. But it's been a journey. So when I started, I didn't know. I didn't know that we were going to get here. I didn't know all the different things that we'd have to experience. I think even last year we had a very different Unstuck. That's the first Unstuck where we had an invite. Is it invite only audience? It was a very closed group of people. But we did that for a reason, and we had our reasons that we did that. But I'm just saying that so much has happened that it took the first step of obedience and continuous obedience for it to unlock. So it's not that you're going to know everything that's going to happen to you. It's like you need to start and then see how it goes, you know, sort of flow into what can this become, you know. I keep thinking that Michelle Obama really titled her book well, because everything I think is about becoming, you know. It's about what are we going to be becoming, what are the opportunities out there. If we access the world the way it is, instead of saying, I can't access this world, or some people have this world more than me, where's your part in it? But as you do it, then you become. And then we see what it can become.
Correct.
But first we have to try.
Yes.
And then use the platforms that are giving us access to the world to move with the world. I'll never forget Bishop T.D. Jakes at Soul when he said that we want our music, we want your music. They want the music of Africa, they want the food, they want the spices, but they want them on their, he said via the internet.
Yes.
That there's a platform that he's comfortable with, and the people, let's say like even in the first world, are comfortable with. So you guys need to get on there and show me what you have. I remember music, and I remember spices, and I remember stuff like that.
All the
but you haven't cultural things that are just normal to us.
Yes.
We just have access to them. They're just around.
Yes.
You know, I'm thinking even paintwork. I think he said paintings.
All the
he loves art.
Yes.
But we needed to put it on the platform so that he can access it. That's what he was saying. Like, and I'm thinking, he didn't say that, but I'm thinking he wasn't going to carry it in suitcases.
That's his point here.
Is that the point?
Like, he wants to be able to look and see the equivalent sizes
and then
whatnot,
buy it,
and be able to buy
it just arrives in his house.
Yes.
You know, that's what people are looking for. So we have a lot. We have our music, and I think we all have different audiences, you know. Even for me, when you say when I started it for my audience, and the more I understand that there's an audience that's available to me, that takes my content, that likes my content, and that's my audience. If I try to be Bishop T.D. Jakes, I'm going to be very disappointed, because he has his audience, he has his content, he has his numbers. I don't know why the idea I was looking at even the numbers in the US and the numbers like in a place like Nigeria. You see, they have crazy numbers, numbers of people. I was just looking, I was watching something and thinking, God, there's so many people in this room, but that's just a fraction. It hasn't even reached the whole city where they are, but it's because there are a lot of people. So they have, if you start comparing yourself to them, then you're going to have a problem, because maybe where you are, you don't have access to that many people.
Yes, that's actually the big difference between the economies here and out there. It's access.
It's the numbers.
It's how easy is it for me to trade with a Ugandan.
Yes.
Whereas in the United States, it doesn't matter. They are united, so they have access to each other, and that helps them grow.
Yes.
So some of those things they do without even realizing are kingdom principles.
Yes.
And it helps. It helps the whole society.
But we are supposed to do that, isn't it?
Yes.
I think we're in a very unique season, even as Africa, where we have, for a long time, not given access to everybody, but we want access for everyone, which is very, very important.
Correct.
You know, the internet gives us information. I don't know, I was wondering when I was going to comment on Black Lives Matter, but let me comment now. Because I'd intentionally said I don't want to comment on it, because It's real. It's happened. We have empathy, compassion. We've been praying about the situation.
Yes.
Very unfair. But closer home. I mean, for me, what I know is we start in Jerusalem, then Judea, then Samaria, then the ends of the earth.
Yes.
But for a reason, we want to focus on the ends of the earth. When at home, there's police brutality. There's, I was remembering, and I said it. I said, people will watch Nairobi Half-Life. You feel very sad.
And
you feel like you can kill everyone outside the studio.
Yep.
By the time you arrive in your house.
Yep.
Forgotten. Because they were saying that people who are being, when they were ransacked, was it doing like a raid?
Yes.
They'd separate half the people, take half to the jail, take half to a place where when they needed, it was extrajudicial killings, then they come and kill you. Then they say there was a thief. I mean, that is horrific.
Yep.
Those are people's lives.
Lives, and it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah, on a smaller scale and more real to us as Kenyans.
So who's going to highlight that?
If we can not talk about the fact that in certain homes you're told do not marry from a certain tribe.
Yes, we are told.
So it's very similar. It's very similar. It's here it's tribalism, there it's it's racism, but it's the underlying concept is very similar.
And for racism, because I've tried, the more I've traveled, I've really tried to understand the people. And I remember even having a conversation with an African American who's from here but lives there, and they were like, how come you get it? Having a conversation with a Uber driver who could not believe that I understand what they're going through. But then I thought, and I don't like sometimes to have those thoughts, but as I was thinking that, the Holy Spirit told me, and you guys at home, because you know what we do? That's how we treat the Relas from Shags. If we put Relas from Shags, people who are underprivileged, who don't have a lot, that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah. Because let's say we say, I just take a simple answer, a simple example. Let's say, because they came as slaves, so they were paid nothing. So now there are those who think it's a good thing, you guys should be celebrating because now you have freedom and you have access. First of all, they have no access.
They have none.
They have no access. So it's like how you take somebody, you also pay them badly. You pay your house girl, you pay your watchman, you pay them very badly. You're giving them access. You say, oh, here we are. But you keep them in their place. It's the same thing. We can take that model and bring it home to Africa.
Yes, we can.
Because there's a level of people who we think do not deserve the same things that we have. Why would they wear the same clothes as we wear? Drive the same cars? Why would you give them access to a salary of 100,000 shillings? Why? Then they'll be like you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what those guys are doing over there. They say you guys came as slaves. You should be very happy that you are free now. But there's no access. The doors that are shut. You should see me leaving America. I am the happiest woman. Even sometimes another day, an Ethiopian guy was driving me to the airport. He was like, are you going to the same Africa? I said, yes. I said, first of all, when is the last time you spoke to your mother? He told me 16 years. I said, you see now?
See now, yeah.
I said, Africa is the best. That's where I want to be. Yeah. And I'm happy going back. You guys have painted a picture here that it's not a good place to be. Yes, it is.
It is.
But they don't have access. There's a certain level of job you can do. When you go to, let's say, like I say, I'm just saying, not that I have any as like Hollywood. I want to make a movie. Hey, all the guys are the white boys. By the time you present your movie for them to even give you a second glance. So they've lied that they've given you access, but they haven't given you access.
It's true. They even advise you to just have a white person on your team who makes the pitch for you.
Yes. There's even another one who told me now they don't even bother. There's the white guy, you go. Make the pitch, it will be accepted. But what is that? So we have this American dream, but we have no access to that dream. But it's because somebody's trying to put you in your place.
Correct.
But if we bring it to Africa, that's exactly what we do. The poor will they die, they disappear, they are shot, there's so much injustice, we jail them. There's one case right now, but I want to get all the facts. But I was like, no. This woman who I met there, it's just that I don't have all the facts. I met one who has been jailed for having bang. Bang is not even a good thing, isn't it? First, it's been legalized. If we start arguments all over the world, I think she was given 50 years.
50
It's ridiculous. I was like, if you just search a few cars here in some upmarket suburbs, then everybody needs to get inside there for 50 years.
Correct.
Because they have the same.
Correct.
And then this is a woman. She had children. I mean, good Lord. I'm trying to get the facts because I said I need to get the facts of the case right before I make a case about it properly. But it's too much. And actually why I thought about it is because on Pentecost, I realized that God would forgive the slaves after 50 years. So I said, even this prison sentence, is quite far-fetched, because even the God of the universe forgives people after 50 years. Who are we to jail people for 50 years, you know? But I just want to understand the thing. But I just started saying, yeah, in the US, what they've done is but they've really denied them access without saying it. And it's a very frustrating place to live, I think, as a black person.
It's true.
You really do. It's frustrating. We would have Uber guys drop us off and ask us, how can you afford to live here? I mean, would you ask somebody else that question? What gives you the right to ask me? Because I'm black?
Yep.
So I shouldn't be living here. Where should I live? You have demarcated where I should live.
You've decided for you that because of your profile, this is where you should live.
It's so wrong. But we do it here as well.
Yes, we do. We do. I mean, if I go back to world economics versus kingdom, Commonwealth, the reason that poverty will almost be a continuous cycle is because those are the guys that we pay for our businesses to run, so they can make a lot of money and leave you there.
So I'm successful. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And if you actually think about it, I think I'll leave them with this. Do you really, you don't want to, even your relax from shads, they can only reach a certain level.
Yes. Yeah.
They can't cross here because
they
can't be the same as you.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? So for me, access, it's important that we discuss it. I've got a badge here. This is the symbol for the Sustainable Development Goals, and one of the big bullets up there is eradicate poverty. And I laugh because you can't eradicate poverty by saying you're going to do it. You have to have a different system in place for that to happen.
And a different mindset.
Different mindset. So it's kingdom, commonwealth, that everyone has access to everything. Yeah. Today, the fact that a student in uni can get into a taxi, whether it's Taxify, it's Uber, it's a big deal. Back in the day, we had to scramble, 5-10 of us, because it was very expensive.
To get into the taxi.
It wasn't fair. The same route, someone is charging 500 bob, another one is charging 1,000 bob. Democratizing some of those things, making it accessible to more people, I think is the powerful thing about this conversation on access.
On access.
Yeah,
and I think some of the people that we're going to have a conversation with, I think they've given access, access to food, access to people who wouldn't have, so many people have come to that particular informal settlement because it's Kennedy, Shofko.
Yes.
And they just come and go and nothing happens, but he's made real change. When I walked around Shofko, I was like, wow, if we could replicate this.
Yeah.
All over, first of all, the informal settlements, which is even another conversation as to whether they should be there. But before we get derailed again, let me just say this. As we have this conversation on access, just think about the people around you who you're paying, if you're running a business, if you're running an organization, because what are you giving them access to? How are you allowing them to come into that wealthy place, the place that we all desire to be? You've got to level the playing field or remove the wall and give people real access. Think about the people who work in your home. I always see people, you want to pay them the least and you leave them with your children. It's like, even if somebody put a picture there for you, it's like, are you crazy? What did you just say?
The people who lock up everything in the house, but you've left your kids there.
Lock up the children.
What is more?
You should lock them in the cupboard as well.
Exactly.
Because the children are precious.
Yes. Yeah.
You want them to cook this food, they eat a certain, let me not start. But give everybody access, yes? Look at even your own environment and provide access. And if you're giving people opportunities, give them opportunities. I was going to say, because of Hollywood, at least now Tyler Perry and Oprah have come up who are going to give people access. Yeah. There's a series I love, I think it's called Queen Sugar. I love it. But I love it because, and they said once at one of the forums that if it was on another platform, they wouldn't have been able to showcase what they are, which is the journey of the American, black African American. They wouldn't have been able to do it properly because they'd have been told you have to cut this, you have to cut this, you have to cut this. But now because Oprah owns the platform, we can
tell it as it is.
And we shall say what we want to say. That's powerful. Even Tyler Perry, I'm sure that God has given him that access so that other people who wouldn't have had access can have access. It's very, very important.
It is.
So continue the access conversation wherever you are. And Karibu, welcome on the 1st and the 8th. Please look out for the advertisements, for the information about the 8th Annual Unstuck Conference. God bless you. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
It's great
Thank
to be
you.
here. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.